Calgary Flames offseason rumors are heating up as multiple insane trade reports have come out from all different kinds of sources, from trade proposals to speculation to concrete trades to rankings to suggestions to betting favorites. This video literally has a little bit of everything, so make sure you stay tuned. We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. And let's start with a trade proposal of all things. No, it depends which thumbnail you got and doing a little A/B test, but it's not exactly what you see on the thumbnail. It's a different kind of proposal, something that we've been talking about quite a bit. Is it possible to trade Rasmus Andersson to the Vegas Golden Knights? And bear with me because I promise the whole video isn't about Rasmus Andersson and trade rumors, so make sure you stay tuned. There's a lot of interesting stuff in the second part of this video. But if we get into this first proposal here, it comes from Gurpal Singh, who obviously Flames writer. So he writes, Flames fans, what do we think of this return if Vegas traded for Rasmus Andersson, assuming he agrees to an extension, obviously with the Knights, technically with us, with the Knights. So to Vegas, Rasmus Andersson with that extension. To Calgary, a 2027 first, because we already have their 2026 first rounder, a 2026 second, a 2026 third, Lucas Cormier, and Matthew Cataford, or Mathieu Cataford. It's a lot for Vegas to give up, but Vegas honestly doesn't have that much to give up. So feel free to let me know in the comments, would you do this trade? Personally, if I'm the Flames, I do say yes to this trade because it just gets rid of Andersson and the whole drama that we don't need once the season starts. And that's quite a lot to get back. But let's get into some of the comments that were under this. So Gurpal Singh wanted to clarify. He said, this is strictly a futures deal. Vegas has shown that they don't care about giving away draft picks as they're in win now mode. Obviously, we've seen that for essentially their entirety of their franchise's existence, and obviously with the Marner signing. So the draft picks are really the key here. The Flames also get young players in Cataford and Cormier. So it is true. It's a lot of futures for Vegas to give up, and it doesn't include a roster player, which a lot of people were speculating. Could it be, one of their younger guys that is a roster player already, like Dorofeyev or whoever? So there is the potential there. Now, what certain people had to say was this. So one person says, don't know enough about the players included in the trade. I want more, but I'm sure I won't get more. And that's coming from a Flames fan. That's a lot to take already from Vegas, but of course, if we can pry more, why not? Gurpal, he responded by saying, unfortunately, Vegas doesn't have more, and that just is the truth. Another person says, Vegas says no, too much for Andersson, more like 2027 first and the third plus a fourth. So Gurpal says maybe you take out the second, but Vegas would definitely need to pay. So yes, maybe having a first, a second, and a third is a steep price plus two young players, but yeah. Having, maybe a fourth instead of a second could entice Vegas to make the trade a little more. A couple things that were said. So Sea of Red Central, they said would love this, but I don't think Vegas would give up that much. So Gurpal Singh, he doubles down by saying maybe take out the second then. Yeah, a first, a third, and a couple young, potentially good players, more of just what we already have a lot of in our organization. It's an interesting trade proposal. And I know making proposals between Vegas and Calgary right now is almost impossible because, let's face it, Vegas doesn't have what Calgary wants. So it is hard. So props to Mr. Singh here for trying to make it work. It is realistic, but would it happen? I kind of doubt it. But again, let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you so much to Gurpal for obviously setting us up with this one. Now let's get into the second part of this video, which I'm going to call updates. You can call it miscellaneous. You can call it just a boatload of everything, really. Some rumors, some everything. But let's start with what actually happened. Start with a real trade that could lead to some speculation. So, as per Elliot Friedman, the trade that happened yesterday between Dallas and Pittsburgh is Matt Dumba and a 2028 second-round pick to Pittsburgh for Kolyachonok, which I wasn't too familiar with him, but essentially it's Pittsburgh taking on a cap dump, and they get a 2028 second-round pick. So this is a great trade for Pittsburgh, honestly, because they get that second-round pick essentially for just taking on Dumba's contract, and, he could maybe mentor some of their younger guys. this is something that a lot of people wanted the Flames to do, which actually, if we go back to Mr. Singh here, Gurpal said, I don't know why the Flames couldn't do this. Getting a second to take on a year of Dumba is a no-brainer. Conroy needs to take advantage of situations like this, and he really does. For 2 off seasons in a row, even throughout last year, a lot of people are saying the Flames can just take on cap dumps and just build more futures for our technical rebuild, I guess. So, yeah, this is something the Flames could have done. But what it does actually do, I know people are disappointed the Flames weren't the ones who made this trade, it was Pittsburgh. But what this does do is it clears up space in Dallas for who? Oh, Rasmus Andersson. That's already, I guess, the number 2 spot that's being speculated behind Vegas is the Dallas Stars. Hey, maybe Dallas just opened up a little bit of space, both cap and roster-wise, to pick up a Rasmus Andersson. So this makes it more likely that Andersson could go to Dallas. Of course, a fair trade would have to be struck, and most of all, Rasmus Andersson would want to have to play in Dallas because he has all that power. But that's where this gets interesting. Could we see more of, Raz to Dallas rumors happen and speculation? Feel free to drop below a trade proposal between Dallas and Calgary, including Rasmus Andersson. I thought that was quite interesting. To move on, Elliot Friedman had another thing to say regarding the Flames. So he said, R.E. Nazem Kadri. The Flames have him for term unless he comes to them and says, I don't think it's working here, or they absolutely get their socks blown off. I don't think that's happening. A lot of writers, it's the dog days of summer. They've been saying, Kadri's going to be traded back to Toronto. It's going to be a reunion. It's going to be great. It's just not happening. A Nazem Kadri trade is so unlikely. I think the Flames are more likely to trade so many other players that it's, Elliot Friedman, essentially he's saying we can quiet down the Kadri rumors, especially to Toronto, unless Calgary gets their socks absolutely blown off with an offer, or Kadri just comes out and says, I don't want to be here anymore. That's the only way a trade would happen. But Kadri, if you've read his book, I think it's quite evident he doesn't want to go back to Toronto, and he's happy near the mountains, which Calgary obviously has. And he said many times he's happy here, so I don't see that happening there. Next thing to go for is another thing from Gurpal Singh, which I thought was interesting. He said, this is a lineup that's destined for mediocrity yet again. I think the Flames need to move out a forward or 2. Coleman should be a no-brainer to trade TBH. So should the Flames, Kadri aside, should the Flames maybe trade away some of these forwards? A lot of you guys think with what's going on with Zary, he could be used in a trade. A lot of people want to trade Sharkey away. Obviously, Coleman, prime candidate because he still has some value, and really his, I guess, term left with the Flames, is it while we'll be competitive? Not too sure. He likes kicking the puck in the playoffs anyway. I kid, I love a bit of Pickles, the Texas Tiger, but maybe the Flames need to really shake things up here in order to either be bad and tank, or they need to add some forwards in order to get the scoring going, which hasn't happened this offseason. So interesting little take there. Next is this from Ryan Pike. So he says, Flames prospect Zane Parekh is tied for 3rd in Calder Trophy betting odds on Bet365. And no way am I condoning doing any sort of sports betting. It's just interesting to see the odds. So he's tied with Zeev Buium, Ryan Leonard, and Jimmy Snuggerud at 12-1 behind only Ivan Demidov and Alexander Nikishin. So very interesting. Parekh, 3rd favorite, tied for 3rd favorite to win the Calder this year. He will definitely have an opportunity, so it should be interesting. Other notables when it comes to these odds here is that Dustin Wolf is 6th for the Vezina. That's very impressive for a guy going into his sophomore year. So big that Wolf already could be considered a Vezina favorite. And then Ryan Huska also tied for 6th for the Jack Adams. We've seen, quite a few Flames coaches actually get the Jack Adams in the past decade or so, I guess we can say. So that definitely helps. But I guess with what he did last year with a disappointing team almost making the playoffs, he does it again. You never know. He could get a Jack Adams award, but that was another interesting one there. Now, the last thing we'll take a look at is the fan-voted rankings for the top 125 defensemen in the NHL have come out, and there were a few Flames, and I want to take a look at some of the notable ones here. I know it's small, but 20th, voted 20th by the fans. Best defenseman in the league, MacKenzie Weegar. We know what Weegs can do offensively and defensively. Great to see him get recognized for that by fans across the league. You have your your classic suspects near the top. You got your Makar, your Hughes, your Dolly, and Werenski, Heiskanen, Slavin, whoever else. But knowing that one Flame is in the top 20 is great, and especially that it's Weegs, a guy who wants to be here, who plays well, who will be here for a while. That's fantastic to see. Rasmus Andersson was voted 31st, and this is by the fans again, so hopefully that means a lot of fans realize his value, and maybe that can bump up his trade value. But there were a couple of other Flames that cracked the list. So Kevin Ball right near the bottom, 120th, underrated. Watch after this year. I think he will shoot up the standings a little bit, especially getting that contract, obviously. And a man who has played one NHL game is already ranked 124th. Zane Parekh was voted 124th best defenseman in the NHL. I mean, you can also assume his is also going to skyrocket after this year. But crazy. One game into his career, and he's already above a guy like Alec Martinez. It's so obviously storied with his cup-winning goal and everything else. I know he's, at the later end of his career, but still amazing that 4 Flames defensemen make the top 125. Obviously, you'd hope that a lot of guys would in that a top 125, but knowing that 2 are in the top 31, I guess we can say, is honestly great to see. So congratulations to those guys on getting voted so high. I think some of them might rise by next offseason's rankings. Now let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. I know it was honestly just a bunch of random stuff here in this video, but I just wanted to share all of that with you guys. But I also want to share this comment from Roy, good old Roy. He says, I still want Robertson to Calgary for Andersson. And that goes with, I guess, kind of those Dallas and Calgary speculation now that, they've cleared out Dumba. Yes, Jason Robertson, it's unlikely, but it could happen that he could be part of a trade for Rasmus Andersson between Dallas and Calgary. That would be insane. Is Robertson what we need? No. Is Robertson what we want? I mean, who wouldn't take Jason Robertson at this point? So very interesting there. Thank you so much for that comment, Roy. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.